Hello, this is Alyssa, the Whitetail Woman, where I share my healthy homemade recipes, do-yourself projects, and natural in-home solutions for a cleaner and healthier home. Today, I'm going to be showing you how we are gardening on the move. To start our gardening on the go journey, we need to gather our supplies, and that includes 5-gallon buckets, a drill with a 3/8 drill bit, your soil for your containers, as well as the seeds you would like to plant. So the type of bucket you will need is a 5-gallon plastic bucket that is food grade, heavy duty, and BPA free. That way it is safe for your vegetables or whatever you're planting, and you have ample space for the 5-gallon bucket. The reason why I'm using a 5-gallon bucket is because we are moving, so it's portable and we can take our potted plants and vegetables with us. The type of soil we are using is raised bed soil. It is for vegetables, fruits, and plants, and it's 100% organic. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do, you're going to take your 5-gallon bucket and you're going to drill 5 drain holes for your plants. We are using a 3/8 drill bit to drill our holes. So after you're done drilling your holes, you're going to take your soil and you're going to fill up your 5-gallon bucket, leaving about 3 or 4 inches from the top. Pouring your dirt, level it out with your hand so you may prepare it for when you plant your seeds. So we're first going to start out by planting cucumbers in our 5-gallon bucket. So to get started, you're going to use your finger and make about 1/2 inch indents, spaced about 2 inches apart in your bucket. On your seed packet, there are growing instructions for how far apart you need to space your seeds, but in this case, in the 5-gallon bucket, I'm doing 4 holes and then 2 seeds per hole. So you just put your 2 seeds per hole. After you put your seeds in, you make sure that you firmly press the dirt around the seeds. And then make sure to thoroughly water your bucket, because in buckets, the dirt seems to tend to dry out faster. So you just make sure you water them often. And now I'm actually going to place this bucket in my greenhouse so it may germinate over the next week. So next we are going to be planting our sugar snap peas. Again, there are growing instructions on the back. For these type of snap peas, it is a direct seed only, and in our area, which we are located in central Pennsylvania, they are to be planted in late April, early May. So as soon as the soil may be worked, which in this case we can work our soil, you're going to sow your seeds 1 inch deep and approximately 1 to 1.5 inches apart. Now I am going to use 2 snap peas per hole. And for these, you do not thin, which means you do not select which one is growing the strongest and snip it so the other one can grow. If both of them grow, you leave both of them go so they can grow and produce your fruit. The snap peas will need trellised later, so I will place my bucket up against a fence, or I would get a trellis to put behind it so I may have something to attach the vines to. So next, we are going to take a look at my sweet peppers. So right here are my sweet peppers, again from Fruition Seeds. I have a few that are sprouting and a couple that are starting to go. You can see them sprouting. This is the first time I ever planted peppers, and I found that they require, as the instructions on the back, they require pretty high temperatures to germinate. So we did this indoors probably the second week in March, and they are just now starting to sprout. But these I'm going to be transplanting to 3 to 4 inch pots here soon, so that may grow and have all the nutrition they need. So lastly, the last thing that I'm experimenting with gardening this year is my tomatoes. So usually I already buy the plants already, grown. That way all I have to do is plant them in my pot. But this year I did the germination stage and did the seedlings. So this is the only tomato that survived being inside my house before I purchased my little greenhouse here. So it's in a little pot. I did drill holes in the side so it has some drainage, but eventually once it gets a little bigger and a little stronger, I'll move it into my 5-gallon bucket. So another thing I wanted to mention is when you do the 5-gallon buckets and you drill the holes in the bottom, you want to make sure your bucket is elevated so it has proper water drainage. So I'm actually taking old, when we redid our porch, we had the leftover rails, and I'm going to take these and make a little area where I can sit my buckets on top of 2 of these. So just make sure they're long enough to hold your bucket. If you don't have, scrap wood laying around, you can use a skid, but I'm using my old rails that were left over from our porch. So as you can see, both of my buckets are placed in the greenhouse here, and they are both lifted up off the ground using those 2 little rails that I mentioned. And I am thoroughly watering them to make sure they don't dry out. I know in the greenhouse it can typically get really hot, and in the 5-gallon buckets the soil tends to dry out a lot quicker. So I usually like to put enough water in there that you can still see a little bit of the water on the top. Now all we have left to do is to wait for our garden to grow. And when it's time to move, we can take our garden with us. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you may follow along on our gardening journey on the go. And also check out the description box below to see where I got my products to garden. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.